The basketball world had its fair share of media darlings and viral sensations throughout the 2010s. You've got the Ball brothers, Zion Williamson, mixtape legends like Akil Carr, Seventh Woods, among countless others. However, there's one player from this wild decade in basketball media that I'm sure many of you forgot, and that's Zion Harmon. After hearing that name, I bet a lot of you have memories flooding back in because there was a time when this kid was all over basketball media. He had several mixtapes that brought in millions of views, had tons of media outlets talking about him, like he was in the national spotlight for so long. But after high school, he basically vanished and was largely forgotten about. And when he did eventually start making headlines again, it was for all the wrong reasons, with things even getting bad enough to the point where there was legitimate concerns on if he'd ever play basketball again. Today, I'm going to be covering Zion's quick rise to fame, his drastic fall to rock bottom, and now his redemption arc. If you enjoy this type of content and want to see more, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more sports content. Now without further ado, let's dive in. Zion Lamont Harmon was born March 12, 2002 in Bethesda, Maryland, and from a young age, Zion was a natural talent on the basketball court. In a lot of ways, he was another one of those childhood basketball prodigies. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure most of you remember guys like Julian Newman and Jordan McCabe, who became viral internet sensations for their basketball talents at a young age. Well, Zion Harmon was basically in that same boat, even making headlines in elementary school for being the top 4th grade basketball player in the country. Now, obviously stories like that are made more for publicity more than anything else. You know, it makes for a cool and cute story, but at the same time, it did get a lot of eyes on him, with many people interested to see his development as he got older. And he ended up being one of those rare cases of a childhood prodigy actually being able to live up to the hype, because moving forward to 7th grade, Zion made basketball history, becoming the youngest player to ever compete in the Nike Elite Youth Basketball League, or EYBL for short, competing while he was just in 7th grade. And for those of you who aren't familiar with EYBL or why this feat for Zion was such a big deal, well, the EYBL circuit is widely considered the most competitive league for youth basketball. Participants in this circuit are the most skilled, athletic, and highly recruited players in the country. Take a look at any NBA players past and chances are they probably played in this circuit at one point or another. Now, Zion just competing in the circuit is a pretty big accomplishment on its own, but also keep in mind that most of these players are 16 or 17 years old, and Zion was going toe-to-toe with these guys as a middle schooler. Like, just think about that. Guys that were literally set to play Division I basketball in the near future were getting buckets dropped on their head by a guy almost half their size and multiple years younger. This man couldn't even drive himself to these games, yet was competing with these top players. But this was just a testament to his natural talent and feel for the game, and how advanced he was for his age. Now, also note that while he was killing it in the EYBL, he was also playing high school basketball. I'm not entirely sure how that works with him being able to play for a high school team at like 12, but nonetheless, he dominated there as well, even helping lead Bowling Green High School to a state title in his 8th grade year. And things only managed to pick up from there as he moved on to his official first year of high school, where the hype surrounding him was at an all-time high, with countless basketball fans eager to see him play his freshman season. And playing his freshman year at Adair County High School, Zion did not hesitate to make his presence known at the high school level, dropping 32 points and 7 assists per game, going on to be named Max Prep's National Freshman of the Year. He would run into a little bit of a roadblock his sophomore year, however, as he decided to transfer to Marshall County High School, but would be ruled ineligible due to Kentucky transfer rules. He wouldn't be completely out of luck though, as he'd soon after join Bella Vista Prep for the year, while also completing a little side quest helping the US bring home a gold medal in the 2017 FIBA Under-16 Championships. And now, in his junior year, he was finally able to suit up for Marshall County. And Zion did what he always did and balled out, averaging 25 points a game. And it was at this point after his junior year where his recruiting really started to take off. He had almost every big-name program in college basketball vying for his services, but he eventually narrowed down his choices to 5 schools, showing strong interest in the likes of Maryland, Murray State, Seton Hall, and Kansas, all schools with rich basketball histories and proven track records of developing NBA talent. But what was most intriguing during his recruiting process was that 5th school on his radar that seemed to be very out of place next to the others, Western Kentucky. And to the shock of many, that's where he'd end up signing, and he'd have this to say regarding his commitment. "I feel comfortable with the coach in the city, and I know so many people at Western Kentucky. Head coach Rick Stansberry gave me an offer when he first saw me, and he's a historical coach and a legend when it comes to college basketball, and it encouraged me." And after announcing his commitment, he then moved into his senior high school season, where he had another solid year to close things out, putting up averages of 22 points a game. With high school now in the rearview mirror, the focus now shifted to the next phase in his basketball journey, college. He maintained his commitment to Coach Stansbury in Western Kentucky and would be on campus that next fall. However, this is where the story and Zion's basketball career takes a major turn for the worse, as he didn't suit up for a single game his freshman season, as the school later announced that Zion Harmon had left the program for personal reasons. There really wasn't a lot of information put out regarding what exactly those personal reasons were. Really, all people had to go off of was a statement from head coach Rick Stansbury, saying, quote, "We're here to help him, but he's not enrolled for personal reasons. And again, moving forward, I just hope everything gets better for him." After this news came out, most people initially chalked it up to mental health issues, just based on the circumstances and what statements there were to go off of. However, as people began to dig deeper into what was really going on with Zion, the reality of his situation started to come out, and it was much worse than originally thought. Strange and abnormal activity from Zion began to emerge on social media. Pictures of him looking completely different, videos of him acting very erratic and delirious, and the overall appearance that he had let himself go. It was very unsettling to see, and I'm not going to show any of that in this video, but it was clear that there was something more serious going on with Zion than just mental health struggles. And it later come out that he had reportedly come in contact with laced substances, and that had unfortunately messed him up in all kinds of ways. According to various sources and experts, it was thought that whatever laced substance he took triggered episodes of schizophrenia, which explains some of his strange behavior on social media. But it was also pointed out that Zion was likely dealing with some struggles with drug addiction, and that he clearly didn't have the same control over his body that he used to. I remember a bunch of people in the basketball community talking about the situation, and several news outlets reporting on it. It was a very scary situation. Laced substances are no joke. I've heard countless stories of people being laced that have never physically or mentally recovered even years afterwards, and a lot of them are likely to stay like that for the rest of their lives. And that includes high-level athletes that lost everything in literally an instant. So there was legitimate concern that Zion might never get back to the same level of play on the court he was at before, or if he'd ever play again in general. It was just absolutely devastating to see what was going on with him, especially for someone with so much talent and potential. Growing up, Zion was always seen as a future star and basketball prodigy, but at that moment, he was facing the risk of losing everything he had worked so hard to achieve. Basketball had been his identity his entire life, but based on his current circumstances, that dream seemed to be fading, as no schools wanted to take the risk of bringing him in. He had officially reached rock bottom. But fortunately for Zion, there was one college out there willing to take a gamble on him, and that was Bethune-Cookman University. Bethune-Cookman head coach welcomed Zion with open arms, offering unwavering support and instilling confidence back in Zion. And he jumped at this opportunity, officially transferring there for his sophomore season. And he began working hard to overcome his drug and mental health struggles. And luckily, he managed to do just that. He got himself back into playing shape, got his mind right, and was determined to get his basketball comeback story started with a bang. And when the time finally came, he did what he does best, and that's hoop. In his first season for the Wildcats and first time playing college ball, he immediately showed everyone why he was a former top recruit in the country, going on to average 13 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and a steal per game. And for his strong collegiate season, he'd be awarded Southwestern Athletic Conference Freshman of the Year, and was selected to the All-SWAC team. To see where he was just a year ago to where he was now was a complete 180, and the comeback story was now in full swing. After his impressive freshman season, he followed it up with an even better sophomore year, bumping up his numbers across the board, and once again being named to the All-SWAC team. And following his back-to-back impressive seasons at the mid-major level, Zion had proven everything he needed to prove, and was ready to make the jump up to the high majors and play with the big boys. After entering his name in the transfer portal, he was pursued by several top programs in the country. However, he decided to join a program that he was already pretty familiar with, one that heavily recruited him all the way back in high school, Seton Hall. And this basically brings us to right now. He's currently in the offseason training with the team, gearing up for the season, which starts in a little under 2 months. Now, full disclosure, I don't follow Seton Hall athletics very closely whatsoever, so I can't really give a good estimate on how big his role is going to be this year. Looking at the depth chart, I know they brought in Chauncey Jenkins from Old Dominion, they got Dylan Adewusu coming back, and I'm sure they've got some other guys as well. But from an outsider's perspective and someone rooting for Zion, I think he has a real chance to play a pretty big role on the team. But if any of you watching are Pirates fans and know more than I do, please leave a comment and let me know, because I'm very curious. But yeah man, to see him go from rock bottom with legitimate questions of if he'll ever be able to even play basketball at a high level again, to now playing in one of the most competitive conferences in college basketball, it's certainly been a wild ride for Zion. So that was the story of childhood prodigy Zion Harmon and his crazy comeback to basketball. I think it's always interesting to look back on these childhood prodigies in the sports world and see how they end up turning out. Obviously in Zion's case, his story isn't fully done being written as he has a couple more seasons of college basketball left, and potentially an outside shot at the NBA. So far though, he's been through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and I, alongside many others, are so happy to see him back on his feet, and are so excited to watch him play this upcoming season. So good luck to him. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel for more sports content. If you have any thoughts on Zion Harmon or have any suggestions for future videos, be sure to leave a comment down below. This is HCP signing off. As always, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm out. Peace.